All of these guys knew that there was a timeline to their career and their time in San Francisco. A lot of guys who were supposed to be your best players were not motivated last year. Not everybody could get paid because they had to make room for Purdy, for Trent, room for McCaffrey and Ayuk. That meant that other guys were not going to get a slice of the pie. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. That's what led and bled into last season. They had lingering effects on last season. There was a residue left from McCaffrey, from Williams, and from Ayuk. And you know how I know it? Because Charvarius Ward told Mike Silver that earlier this week in the article that came out today. Quote, I was hurt when I realized I wasn't getting a contract extension or even an offer for an extension. So I wasn't motivated. Like from OTAs all the way through camp, I was kind of pissed off. I knew when the season started, it was a wrap for me in the Bay. I think a lot of players felt that way. Look at how many guys they got rid of this offseason. They traded Debo. They didn't bring Hufanga back. They didn't bring Greenlaw back. They didn't bring Ward back. They cut Hargrave. All of these guys knew that there was a timeline to their career and their time in San Francisco. So you can't tell me that they were all your best or a lot of guys who were supposed to be your best players were not motivated last year.
But Evan, but I'll say this. Your play is your resume, and I get him opening up, and one could say it's sour grapes, but if you talk about the genesis of his statement, yeah, he was mad because they told him they didn't want him. But my point is I never watched him play last year, and you correct me if I'm wrong, he never quit. He never quit, and that's why he's got a new team, because had he, Evan, I don't think the Colts would have been interested in him. But no, there's something there, but he didn't say I went out there and half-assed. That's not why they were 6-11.
No, but I think when a lot of people aren't bought in, that's what happens. And a lot of those games, Goo, because we were talking about them every Monday. I remember you and Steiny going at it. Well, what happened on that final drive? Well, it was a missed kick here. It was a drop play. Ronnie Bell on line one. He catches that ball. They beat the Rams.
In L.A.
It was a miss punt return, miscommunication on coverage. All of those details happen when not everyone is aligned, and that's what I'm gleaning from these comments. Now, to your point, Ward also went on to say that around the Cowboys game is when he decided to kick it into gear.
Okay, yeah, right.
And unfortunately, that's when his child passed away, and then it became very difficult for him to play at his best. But what I'm talking about is before all the tragedy befell him last season. I'm talking about in the summer. He was pissed off that he didn't get the money that he wanted because he wanted to stay in San Francisco, and he balled his ass out in 2023, just like a lot of people did to help them get to the precipice of a Super Bowl. But not everybody could get paid because they had to make room for Purdy. They had to make room for Trent. They had to make room for McCaffrey and Ayuk. They decided that those were the guys that they were going to keep, eventually now extending extensions to Warner and Kittle. That meant that other guys were not going to get a slice of the pie. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to dismiss that that's what led and bled into last season.
Man, it's interesting. And like I said, Evan, I'll say this and I'll stand on it. You know, he didn't dog it, but he's sharing, you know, what matters most sometimes in life often is emotion and what's in his heart. And I appreciate you sharing that about the Dallas game is when he kind of got past it. But, you know, I do wonder, Evan, I'm being real, if we were to put the autopsy of his particular season, you know, on the table, had he gotten paid, would his play have looked any different? He shared with us his mentals, and you could be like, ooh, come on, put it together. Mentals, you're going to get a better performance on the field. But I'm just wondering, but I'm not mad at the honesty. But, Evan, isn't that, not that it takes away from your point or this story, but isn't that the par for the course in sports nowadays? Like, you know, Andrew Wiggins got his contract, and so did, Jordan Poole after they won in 2022, and then we find out Dre and Clay are pissed off. Like, you know, Dre and Clay we didn't even know that till after the fact, but I'm just thinking to myself, they never loafed, I guess, Dre and Clay, and then we find out years later that they were lightweight irritated.
Yeah, but I think that's just the modern athlete. Like, there's so much money on the line for these guys, and I think they also view it as a pride thing. Like, the money is what I'm worth as a player. And Charvarius Ward, like he also talks about how he understood the decisions they had to make. Effectively, they chose Diamador Lenore over him. They gave him 5 for 92 this offseason, or during the middle of last season. But then he knew that my time was up.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is I can understand why it'd be difficult to come into work every day and give everything that you have, knowing that the place you want to be doesn't want you back. That's all I'm saying.
No, that hurts. I get it. I do get it.
But again, I think they got a brand new slate this year, and there's also something more I want to dig into a little bit with what Charvarius Ward told Mike Silver of The Athletic about what happened last offseason that might have people feeling better about this year. What was removed from last season that the Niners now have an opportunity to make a clean slate out of?